right? We not having that. We want to build a community, forever. Kids win, we win. Period.
All right, we back. A.M.University, episode 51. I'm done with naming people, so I'm just say, what's up, Wayne?
What's good with you?
How your week going?
I'm good, man.
Just came from the barbershop?
Oh, crazy. I took my wave cap off.
Yeah. You look good. How your week going, man?
Everything good.
Everything good?
Yep.
Everything good? I got a great guest on, brother Delgreco Wilson. What's up, brother?
How y'all guys doing?
How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Glad you could make it, man. Creator of Black Cajun Media. I want to go a lot of different ways with this conversation, because you so well versed in the tri-state and as far as preferably high school basketball, but basketball in general. I always like picking your brain about things because I think from our brief relationship, you never compromise yourself in the basketball landscape. And I think as a journalist, in my opinion, in 2021, I don't think that's almost not possible to me as a journalist. But you don't compromise yourself in any way. You tell stories how you feel they're supposed to be told, no matter who likes it or who doesn't like it. And me personally, I really appreciate that. So I just want to dive into that and talk about basketball a little bit, and we'll go from there. So just alluding to what I just said, again, this is my opinion. In sports reporting in general, I just feel like locally and for damn sure nationally, I think journalism is damn near extinct. I think people are looking for headlines. They're looking to sensationalize stories, and the actual people that's doing the reporting is just worrying about their benefit, right? From your standpoint of what I saw from you, as far as your writing, your Facebook posts, again, you tell things the way you see it. It makes people uneasy at times, to say the least. But but to me, that's journalism. You always show everybody respect, in my opinion, at the end of the day. But you do your job. That's what I think is missing. What do you allude that to? What do you attribute that to? And why don't you go with the masses as far as your writing, as far as you're covering sports, as far as your writing? Why don't you just go with the masses? And what do you allude your style to as far as the way you get information out?
I tell you what, back in, it had to be 2013, there was some stuff going on with high school basketball. I don't even really remember what the specific issues were. But I wrote a piece, and a friend of mine has a pretty nice sized basketball website. And I gave it to him. I said, yo man, run this for me. And he read it, and he texted me back. He said, I like it, I can't run it. I said, what do you mean you can't run it? He said, well, Delgreco, you're an advocate. And what we do is journalism. And we don't really want to, like you say, he didn't want to ruffle feathers or do, piss anybody off. So he refused to run the piece. And it was at that moment I said to myself, you know what? What does it cost to start a website? A couple $100.
Yeah.
No editor, no filter. I put it out there the way I want to put it out there. And it was literally from that point on, and we're talking 500 plus posts later, I mean, really, I used to be really, really busy with it. Writing is a time consuming endeavor, so I kind of pick and choose my spots now. Mm-hmm. But I got a couple of people that do some really good stuff with me. Eric Dixon, his dad, Eric, the player at Villanova, but his dad writes for me, and he does an outstanding job. I mean, he's got his own little followers, and then he brought them, and he snatched some of mine, and so I'll just, whatever he writes, I'll tell Eric, look, I'm not in the business, because I know how that felt. You better edit it, you better make sure, because I'm going to just post it, man.
Right,
I'm
right,
not
right,
here
right,
to
right.
try to change your narrative.
Right.
So your point that journalism, sports journalism in particular, is suffering is dead on. Some of my best friends in the world, Dick Weiss, a Hall of Fame basketball writer, a good friend of mine. I talk to Mr. Weiss a few times a week. He doesn't work anymore. Think of all the greats from the Daily News, Dick Girardi, all those guys, Ted Solari, all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're not with the Daily News anymore. There's no money being put into hiring guys to go out and cover high school sports from the major city perspective. Now, having said that, over here, the Courier Post does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
They do a good job. They get, especially with Camden, and when Camden's good, everybody's going to come over here and run and follow behind Camden. Delaware County, Pennsylvania, Chester, Penwood, all those schools, they do a good job in Delaware County. But the big cities, the big papers have made a decision that they just can't afford to carry the sports writers anymore. And so what you get is one guy trying to cover the city of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. It's 80 public league teams, it's 14 Catholic league teams, it's the Interact, so many stories are left untold. So what I said to myself was, being a former high school, college player, I'm going to write it the way I would want somebody to write about me, and that's what I tried to do ever since.
So they're basically telling me that it's not a market for the way that you, like, because it's like you carved out a niche for you though, and to me again personally, it's because you're telling what you feel is the truth, and it's working. And so I don't understand why can't everybody do the same instead of keep looking for that one hit single, like every story, instead of just telling what you feel is authentic and the truth. Well, that's where I get frustrated.
If you look at it from the perspective of the big media, that would be the Enquirer, the Daily News locally. Well, when we were younger, I'm sure y'all used to see a Sunday paper. That thing might be this thick, right? Mm-hmm. So it was all those ads, all those, come rent my car, come buy my car, rent my house. All that's gone. All that's on the internet now. They don't get that money. Right. That's how they used to pay their bills. So they can't pay their bills that way. Print media is really, really suffering. Actual magazines and newspapers, because nobody's buying it. You can get everything on your phone now. So once they realized that they really just fiscally couldn't carry the model that they had built up, it took a little bit of time, and they did it through layoffs and people retiring. But if you look around right now, man, it's just not a lot of people covering scholastic and collegiate sports.
Yeah.
And if they cover it, it's going to be Penn State football, Villanova basketball. I mean, even St. Joe's, Temple, LaSalle, they're catching the short end right now. They don't get the kind of coverage they used to get when I was younger.
Right.
So now you go to the guys who are doing it independently, like yourself, like what I do. They get caught up on views and subscriptions and things like that. So if you say something outrageous, it could go viral. People, come running, and you pick up all these viewers.
That's
I never really.
Right?
That's not what I'm in it for.
Yeah.
I tell you, the first 4 or 5 years I was doing it, my readership, and I would say to people, I got basketball people, man, high school coaches, AU coaches, and college coaches across the country, independent scouts, the people that have scouting, they all look, they all pay attention. Yep. That's my audience. I'm not trying to reach a guy that's like casually looking at high school. If you read my stuff, if you don't really know the area high school basketball, some of it's probably gonna go over your head. You're not gonna know what's going on. But if you're in it, you'll know, and you can relate to it.
Okay.
So what's the audience that you usually ruffle the feathers? That regular fan of basketball, or you ruffle some feathers of coaches and people?
This has been my experience. With the kids, the players themselves, I have absolutely outstanding relationships because the way I was introduced to most kids had nothing to do with the media stuff. I also try to help kids figure out, the transition from high school to college.
Okay.
It's a lot of stuff in there. And if you don't have a father or a mother that attended college, say you never applied, nobody in your family ever applied.
First one.
You don't know what the SAT is, you don't know the NCA. Man, they have rules, man. You gotta have these courses, and this many math courses. So I've been helping kids do that stuff for 30 years.
Okay.
So that's how right now, Mark Bass, we were talking about Mark. Mark Bass was the first kid I worked with. So you're talking about 93 at St. Joe's, 92, 93, he was a freshman. So you go back that far, and I talked to Mark every day since the day I met him. So we talking about 93. His kids are like my nephews now.
He's training Catholic coach now.
Yes.
Okay.
So that relationship allows me to have real good interaction with the kids because I'll ask them straight up. I'll be like, "Yo, man, what's your GPA? And what's your core?" And if they don't know, now I'm on them. I'm like, "Where your mom at?" I'm like, do you know his core? And the moms, they really appreciate it. The dads are just, I really get along with dads because, a lot of people come at the dad, I want you to play with me or switch here or go there. That's not my concern. I don't care if you go to Cheney State, if you go to Kentucky, if you go overtime, it's all the same to me. Just use this stuff to get what you want. So that's the approach I have. So I don't have no problems with the parents. I don't have no problems with the kids.
There's only a couple left there. We won.
Where I have run into issues is because my starting point always is do what you would want someone to do for you.
Right.
Okay.
So if I'm in the 11th grade and I don't know anything about this recruitment process, but some guy, University of Wyoming, called me yesterday about a kid. Wyoming. They don't know the kid. They don't know his phone number. They knew I would probably know who the kid is.
Okay.
So I said, you know what? Let's call the dad. I get the dad on the phone, introduce him. I said, this is my man. He's at Wyoming. They good. It's a good school. That's San Diego State, UNLV. That's a good league. That Mountain West League. That's it's about A10 level.
Kawhi with the San Diego.
Kawhi, exactly. So the dad was really thankful and grateful that you made that connection for him. So college coaches like it. The ones who don't like it would be the people who were the previous gatekeepers of all the information. The ones who could spoon it out and say, parent don't need to know that. Kid don't need to know that.
I like how you phrase that. Previous gatekeepers.
I mean, but and they think it's
me.
me.
You saying the gatekeepers is no longer there no more, or?
Well, they want to be gatekeepers, and they really work hard to be gatekeepers. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame them, because if you pay attention, man, you're likely to see 10th graders leave school, 11th graders leave school, and the guys that are playing AAU, how many of them change teams every year? So they feel bombarded. They feel like people coming in, snatching their kids. They put in all this time. I develop them, and now you're going to leave me. And I appreciate that concern, and I respect that concern. But this kid is poor.
Yeah.
He broke. In his mind, he thinks he has limited options. His mother, his father, they don't even know what the options are. So if I have information, I'm going to give it to the young man and to his parents. And I've had high school coaches, I've had AAU coaches say to me directly, you should call me. If the college coaches call you should call me. So I said, well, if I have a son or a grandson and somebody's willing to pay all of their educational expenses, shouldn't they call me, the parent? Why should they call the AAU coach or the high school coach? I mean, if the high school coach and if the parent wants to involve the high school coach and the AAU coach, then it makes perfect sense. Let the parent bring you in, but that's not my role.
Right.
And so I've had guys literally, I've had really stopped speaking to me because I would say to a kid, hey man, Auburn, Florida, Texas, they want to holler at you. What you want me to tell them? And I'll leave and I'll say, what's your mom's number? What's your dad's number? Auburn, Florida, Texas want to talk to you. And then the local guys up here would say, yo man, you should run that by me first. And there's no part of me where that makes sense. It just doesn't make sense. It's education first and foremost. Parents should make educational decisions. They can consult with AAU guys, high school guys, guidance counselors, principals, reverends, pastors,
but ultimately,
whoever you want.
And the crowds.
But that's their choice to bring them people in.
That's
Somebody asked me about your son, I'm going to track you down and say, hey man, this is what they say. I know what that school costs. School costs $83,000 a year.
So these gatekeepers, you saying these gatekeepers sometimes hold back on information to certain kids?
I don't think there's any, there's no doubt that goes on. Now, here's where it gets tricky for these guys. Because when we were younger, I'm a little older than you guys, but even when you guys were younger, a lot of the
Who was the gatekeeper when we was younger?
The high school coach would be the gatekeeper. How old are you? You in your 30s?
2004. So
you in your 30s.
Yeah.
Y'all babies. I'm in
35.
my 50s. So when I was in high school, you're talking early, mid 80s, everybody that didn't make it or didn't get a scholarship, you would always hear, well, the coach hid my letters. Coach didn't give me my letters. Coach didn't give me my letters. I mean, how many times have you heard an older guy say, the coach didn't give me my letters?
Was you saying it wasn't true?
It probably was true,
okay,
depending on what the coach's relationships were. The point I'm trying to get at is, there's no such thing anymore. If a college coach want to get at a
He gonna
kid,
come at you. He gonna give you a living room.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah,
I mean, they track these kids down, man. They slide in the DM. Is literally the way they get at these kids right now. So you cut out the ability of the gatekeepers to control the traffic, and it bothers them. It's disconcerting, It really is, and it's understandable. I don't think they bad guys. They got a program they trying to build. One of the best players in Philadelphia right now. His name is Anthony Finkley. He played for Kalo on the AAU circuit. He's a top 150 kid according to Rivals.
Guard or big man?
He's at West Catholic.
Was he a guard or a big man?
Handsome forward, probably 6'6", a little big right now, probably 235, 240.
Okay.
Probably need to get down to 220. But I mean, a high major talent. This kid is talented.
Yes, sure.
You talking about DePaul, Penn State, Rutgers. I mean, these are offers on the table while he was in the 10th grade. I just found out he's going to West Virginia. He's going to Huntington Prep.
Okay.
Why would a kid, you ask yourself, if you're in the 10th grade, you already got Big 10, Big East.
Why are you going to prep school?
What?
You went backwards, right?
I mean, no. He's going to the 11th grade.
Oh.
So he's going to do his last 2 years of high school in West Virginia.
He never had to leave.
He doesn't have to leave. And that's what the high school guy is thinking. Look, you've been with me. This is where you are. This is what you got. Who got to you? What they telling you? Whatever they telling you, you can accomplish it here.
Right.
Now, and I respect that, and I understand that. But the bottom line, the kid should have the information. His mom should know that he has that option. Yeah. Whether we think he should go or not take it.
But that team winner? Where he was at?
In Philly?
Okay. They haven't been one of the top 4.
He might be a winner.
If he stays, I think they would have been. If he stays, I think they would have been.
Yeah, right. You believe in your ability and you getting them offers. I don't see the.
Look, AJ Hogarth played at Archbishop Carroll, 9th, 10th grade.
Yeah.
11th grade, he went to West Virginia.
That same school?
Same school, Huntington Prep.
Okay.
And so you ask yourself why. I mean, AJ Hogarth was all city in the 9th grade. came back again the next year, was all Catholic, all state, all that, and he got out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and his father's a really good friend of mine, and we talked about it as it was going on and all that, and I understood, the thinking behind it. The kid also left team final, went and played for the PSA Cardinals. This is a kid from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, playing up in New York for AAU, playing high school in West Virginia. If I'm team final, if I'm Archbishop Carroll, I'm feeling put upon. I got this kid in 8th grade. I put him on the stage. I gave him everything he needed to get to this point, and now you just gonna go somewhere else the last few years. So I get that. But at the end of the day, you have to let individuals,
right,
athletes,
and that's what I was gonna get to when you said you understand it from a standpoint that people want to keep the kids and people, but at the end of the day, right, and this is my problem with this whole totality of what we're talking about right now. Like, people use the kids as a scapegoat to me. Say it's all about the kids, all about the kids, all about the kids. But then something like that happen and you get upset.
Well, they could genuinely.
But you the coach of that high school team that you're talking about in Philly, right? And he left.
And I could genuinely believe that the best thing for that kid is to be with me. Like, it doesn't have
that's
to be.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. But
where I fall out with those guys is like, you got to deal with it when he chose to go. You can't be mad, man. Come on, man. I mean, they want to do something else.
They feel that's the best decision.
I think wherever they started at, I think that foundation should be strong enough where that kid shouldn't want to go.
I agree.
So I think a lot of times if that kid does go, I think with that first coach thought he was doing. I
did something wrong.
The kid wasn't getting what he thought.
That's how
the coach thought he was.
I agree 100% with that. Because I did something wrong, and how can I be stronger in that area to not let that happen to the next kid? That's how I feel.
Y'all do,
and it still might happen. But
big fish eat little fish. I mean, this is the way the world works.
Yes.
So you take a kid like Quade Gray, good player, great player, but he goes, he leaves, he went around a little bit. He played for team final. He played for We Are One. He finally decides to go play for the Cardinals up in New York. Plays with Mo Bamba. McDonald's All-American, Kentucky scholarship. Does he get that if he doesn't go to the Cardinals? I don't know. I don't know. But I know it helped him a lot. AJ Hogarth goes to the Cardinals. His final 5 schools was like Ole Miss, Michigan State, Florida. I think DePaul was in there. I forget who the 5th one might have been. Rutgers or somebody like that. But all Power 5.
But then we go back to what it's kind of in the same boat. If we can't provide that for a kid, that's even more reason to not take it personal. We can't show you what this team can show you.
Who else have you ever seen from this area go to play basketball on scholarship at Michigan State?
I can't think of.
Exactly.
None.
So clearly, whatever the kid did, it allowed him to have access to that. I mean, Michigan State, last 20 years is what, top 6, top 7
Tom
program.
Izzo, man.
20 wins every year.
I love Tom Izzo.
Shout
out to Tom Izzo.
So if you're a kid, if you're 16, 17, and you're watching these moves, this stuff is appealing. It is. It's hard to tell a kid, you don't need all of that.
Right.
I've had some of the gatekeepers tell me that it's not.
Oh, you've seen them face to face before?
Oh.
These gatekeepers.
Oh, I get called in. Like.
Oh, you sat at the table.
Oh, I've had.
Okay.
I've had a high school coach tell me that I should not let, and he's a really good player, I should not let him know that, ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12 schools were like interested.
They want them now.
Yes. And in the word, he said he don't need to know all of that.
Because of what?
What do you mean he don't need to know? Like, he don't need to know. If he see that, he not going to want to go to X, Y, and Z. I'm like, that's X, Y, and Z's problem. That's not my problem. So you're going to limit, like you're in the market, you got $50,000. You're looking for a car. And people just say, well, look, we're not going to let him see Lexus. We're not gonna let him see Infinity. We're not gonna let him see Mercedes. Well, he gonna see Toyota and Ford, and that's it. Is that fair? And I mean, I've had those kind of conversations, and when I told them that, and I've said it, I said, well, look, man, I'm just not gonna do that,
Oh, you stuck with your guns, okay.
But I haven't spoken to those guys since then. We talking about 2-3 years now, and I see them. I mean, we'll be sitting like this at games, and we don't speak. And before that, I mean, 10,
so you
15,
ended up going and telling the kid or the parent what's going on. You end up doing it anyway, or you just end up leaving that alone?
No, I don't have to do that. We just get in the car and go to the school. I mean, you don't have to do that.
I'll do even better.
We get in the car, we go visit the school. I've had people from this town ask, me.
What town?
Camden. Say, it was about Taquan Woodley. I took him to visit Penn State. And they said, well, why you take him to visit Penn State?
Who does it, the Gatekeeper?
Camden folk.
Okay.
What's in it? Why you do it? Why you take him to visit Penn State? I said, well, I know him, Quan, since he was in like the 8th grade. And as far as I could tell, he doesn't have a car. So if they want to see him and he wants to see it, I ain't doing nothing. What's wrong? I'll go to a Penn State football game. Let's go, man. And so we went, and but people, it's gotten to the point where I've gone online and I had to take it down because it was too many kids that wanted to visit places, and it's just me.
Yeah.
So I asked a couple times, I said, anybody willing to ride to like Virginia or Maryland or Rutgers with a kid, go, watch a game, do whatever, get with me. One of my buddies is a sports lawyer. He called me, he said, yo, take that down. Because people could perceive that as an extra benefit, like the kids' eligibility, like you basically paying for other people to take him. But it's a real issue, man. And I'd say that the most conflict I've had has been with AAU guys and a couple of high school guys. And it was just because I guess they felt like they couldn't really control where I was going with things. And I wasn't trying to control it. I'm just saying to the young man, look, I know the dudes at East Carolina.
Okay.
I know the dudes at Kentucky. I know the dudes at South Carolina. I know the dudes at Penn State, Rutgers.
What's the coach name at Coppin?
At Coppin, Juan Dixon.
Before him? Black guy, older guy.
Oh, Fang?
Okay.
Yeah, Fang Mitchell. Yeah, I knew Fang, but was Fang right before? Did they give it to one? I think it was somebody in between there.
No, I think it was Fang.
It was Fang?
Yeah.
Fang was the AD and the coach, and they finally pushed him out of the way.
He came to Williamstown playoff game.
He's talking about himself. He lived a lot of these things that you're saying, and Coppin was supposed to, and we were still in your age in the 80s. That was in the 2000s too, the way it worked, and then and if I say this to a lot of my friends, my football friends and my college buddies, and I got friends that actually ended up playing D1 or whatever, but if I was around knowing with the full set of information that I have now, some of my friends that went Big Five, man, I could put them in UCLA, Texas, wherever. They could have went to Michigan State, which is wherever, man. And so for me to even think about denying a kid any kind of access to any kind of resources that I could bring to the table, it's a foreign concept. It just can't happen. It won't happen. And I think that bothers some people who are worried about control. Now, I don't care where the kid goes.
Right.
If I say to a kid, look, Temple likes you, I'm not telling you to go to Temple. I'm telling you Temple likes you. Now, if you don't want to talk to Temple, just say that. When I put in anybody that has ever been on the phone with me and a parent and a kid will say, I say this all the time. I'll be like, this ain't, we ain't got to do the full dating, take them out to dinner and buy them flowers, this. And the kids appreciate it because I'll be like, yo, don't waste people's time. Don't keep people on there. Now, if the coach asks you, if he say, look, I know you're not coming, they on my ass at my job. I need it to look like, I'm in the running. Can you keep me on? If you like the coach, that's your man, and he okay with that.
Look him out.
Yeah, look him out. Do that. But for the most part, don't play with people with this thing. I'm telling you, son, when you're 30 years old, 35, and you're not playing, maybe you're looking for a job or something like that, that coach will remember that, man. He will remember the way you did that. Because all he going to do is go recruit somebody else. He don't hate you.
Yeah, it's not
that deep.
It's not personal at all.
Yeah, at all.
At all. Okay. That was okay. Let me ask you just a real basketball question. It's for the upcoming, because we in September? We got a couple more months, man. Let me ask you a real basketball question real quick. So I know how you feel about the overall talent of Philly, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but do you think New Jersey's even close? And if they're not,
be very careful.
Can they get there?
About to come out your mouth.
Can they get in the same pool as Philly?
Can Philly fuck with Canada? That's what he's trying to say. Because we're above Philly.
When Taquan Willie was a junior, I thought Canada was the best team in the area. By far.
Appreciate it.
By far.
They still
and
are.
I'll tell you the truth. I called Pat Chambers about Quan. And the only reason I went to that Roman Camden game. And so I'm sitting where you sitting. Pat Chambers sitting right here. We're under the basket. And I said, Pat, don't watch the game. Just watch Woodley and Durant. I said, he's the only kid in the area that don't need no help. He ain't going to never ask for no help. He don't need no help. And Durant is not going to just be turning around dunking on Willie. It's not going to happen. Y'all got to remember, Taquan ain't had no whole bunch of offers or whatever. So I'm like, watch it. So I'm doing like play-by-play for Pat. I'm like, look at that shit, Pat. He ain't getting that rebound. Look at that. Now, Willie wasn't in the best shape. He get tired. He got to come out. Durant's in great shape.
And that's when he
went
that's
buck
when he
wild.
went
Soon as Willie go to the bench, Lance, I love Lance, but that wasn't his game down there on them blocks.
Yeah.
Durant goes crazy. Boom, follow up. Willie come in, slow it down a little bit, then Willie got to come out. We in like the third quarter. Chambers said, yo, I'm offering you. All right. Well, I ain't got nothing else to say. So when you ask me that question, I think right now that there's considerable gap between Camden and the rest of the people in the region right now. But I have to see this year's version of the Camden team.
All right,
I have to see.
last year they beat Roman Catholic again, right? They did the rematch, right?
They played all local.
Yeah, they couldn't go out
They
the
played
state.
all
It
over.
was,
They played in the
it was
summer.
scheduled to do it though, right?
Yeah, they played them over in the high school live period. I was there.
And what
It
happened?
was a good game.
And what happened?
Camden beat them, but it wasn't the same Roman team. It's just the Roman
But
program.
the same kind of eyes, right?
It ain't
Taquan
the
wasn't
same
there, right?
Camden High.
Taquan?
No, it's
Not the same. That junior year team of Taquan was special. Special.
really, really, really.
I mean,
and last year,
country special.
And last year, I think it's the same team. They're a year older. I think it just, and you guys suffered because of COVID. They didn't let you play out of the county or whatever. But I think that team was one of the premier teams on the East Coast. I would love to have seen them play DeMatha or St. Francis or Paul VI, and those are the kind of matchups. Now, if we're talking New Jersey versus Philly, I think you got to differentiate, because North Jersey is where it's at. That's where it's at. Roselle, Gil St. Bernard, and all those programs. I mean, Gil St. Bernard got that.
St. Anthony still reckon?
St. Anthony's closed.
Nah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Patrick School.
Patrick School is still open.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Immaculate Conception is still rolling.
Yeah.
So North Jersey is where it's at.
Immaculate Conception. I remember that.
When we're talking about just South Jersey, you got Camden.
It's only two. It's only another
Who the
one.
other two?
You get who the other one?
Is
I
it?
don't know.
I mean, I think Derek is that good. That he can,
as a player, Lenape's not.
No, that's how good I think Derek Simpson is
Derek,
personally.
yeah.
I think Derek Simpson makes people
Better.
average 7 more points to whoever their average. I think he that good of a
Who
point
was
guard.
that? Haddonfield to beat Camden. when they were
Yeah.
sophomores.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
team
yeah.
was pretty good.
Yeah,
had
but
that little point guard.
Yeah,
that
the
little-
Persia.
Yes.
He went to IUPUI.
That
yeah.
kid was pretty
Yeah,
good.
he was a player. But,
But I mean, if we're talking about regions,
yeah.
nah, it ain't close. It
Yeah,
ain't close.
overall.
It's Philly by a long shot over South Jersey. But if we're talking about
Do you
individual
think because
programs,
that could be because of population though? You gotta give us our credit. I'm talking about Camden. I don't care about nobody else. I'm just talking about East
Well,
Camden,
Well, we talking about
Pollock,
Camden, then he
Centerville,
said.
Parkside, and Fairville,
okay, I think
and North Camden, and
But see-
Kramer Hill.
Well, you can't say that.
Camden's
What?
benefiting from the free agency.
You
though,
can't.
too.
You can't say what
What?
you just
What,
said.
everybody coming to Camden? What?
People,
That?
yes, they're coming to Camden.
I
Why?
mean,
Brewer was
Why they not
playing
going
in
to
the
Philly?
Catholic League,
But why they not going to
you
Philly?
Willie
just
was
said
playing
different.
Come to Camden.
But overall, yeah, I think right now, this year and next year, I think Camden,
It's going to run it
they should.
easily.
They should.
Easily.
They should.
Who
will
are
they
you
be-
seeing in their way? From Philly. I ain't worrying about Jersey. From Philly. Who can they just put in their way and be like a little nice game at Temple at the Leah Corson or something?
I don't even think it's about that. I think it's about that team. I think that when you look at the roles that Brewer and Woodley played for that team, they
gonna
were
miss it.
grown men.
They're going to miss that.
And Woodley was just an extremely unselfish kid. Who do you know that just was happy with 4 points and 12 rebounds?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
And can score. Like,
and
if
just
they
don't
wanted
care
to.
about it.
Yeah, that's real.
So okay, so how do you replace Bradshaw? Is a much more gifted athlete. It's not close. He's bigger, longer, faster, jumps higher, all of that. If they're playing, I'm taking Woodley. I'm taking Woodley if I want to win the game right now. Now Bradshaw's ceiling, as far as will he end up in the NBA and all of that? So I wonder, Fleming, magnificent looking athlete, but when the game is on the line,
Right.
Are
right.
they going to just do the things?
And it's just a question. They could be. They
It
all
could
could
be.
be. But
Could-
it's
I don't
still
know.
it's out there. It's still a question.
The strong, of course,
It's the backcourt.
that's the overwhelming. That's the
You
overwhelming.
put Chris Paul
factor.
on the Suns, they go to the finals.
That's the overwhelming factor in favor of Camden is DJ Sion Book. I mean, those guys are experienced. They've been out there, and the fact that DJ is, and I've said this since he was a freshman, one of the better defensive guards that I've seen in the past 10 years. I mean, when he was 14, he was out there, leading with his chest, trying to stay in front of them. I mean, a lot of kids that score a bunch of points, they just don't care about that side of the basketball court. And that's an event when your best player, and this is just like what Willie was all about, defense. When your best players aren't worrying about
You got
playing,
something.
you got something. So Camden has a chance.
A chance? What are you talking about?
We're talking about to just run
Talking
the
about
table.
perspective, Wayne.
Are they playing West Town? That's a great matchup. I'd love
West
to see
Town.
that.
Mark that. West Town.
I'd like to see Camden play West
They
Town.
they all over the country. I know that.
Okay.
They all
I don't
over
know
the
what
country.
if they play Gil St. Bernard. I'd like to see that.
Gil St. Bernard's gonna be good.
What's one of these teams that you was talking about? Like one of these kids that's high level. They be going to like a regular public school like Strawberry Mansion. Give us one of those schools. Don't give us because Camden High is a public school.
Wayne.
No, hold up.
Don't do that, bro.
No, because I'm gonna show you why
don't-
some of them kids probably do leave.
don't
Because when
say
they
that
match
like-
up against a Camden High and get
don't-
their ass
don't
kicked, they
s-
like, you know what? I
Don't
might go to
say
Huntington
that like
Prep.
this is a regular public school, bro.
Now, y'all
I
not.
mean, we
Come on,
at the end of the day, we are regular. We just are who we are.
Wayne.
We're a
Well,
public school.
I've seen Camden high school basketball players' transcripts. And,
Oh man,
and
why you doing that?
No, what I'm saying is sometimes the school says something like Big Picture or some other school. I mean, like you guys have a really good situation here.
Right, just leave it at that.
Because
just leave it at that.
because you can go to a charter school,
just leave it at that, bro.
irregardless of geographic boundaries and zip codes. It doesn't matter. If you live in New Jersey, you can go to charter school in New Jersey. So you get around all of those, questions about where you're from and all of that. Then, if your charter school doesn't happen to have varsity athletics, you can play for Camden High. That's a beautiful situation.
That's what's supposed to happen.
That doesn't
The charter
exist.
schools is in Camden though, right?
the charter schools are in Camden.
What's the problem?
It's not a problem. But what I'm saying is when you look
Because
at
in my year, Camden Catholic was the powerhouse. Nobody was from Cherry Hill on that team.
as if Catholic schools don't matter. It's
Yeah,
like charter
that's-
schools.
But they was playing against us.
But
You feel me? Which one is it?
that's
Oh, you trying to have
totally-
two arguments in one?
Yeah,
So
that's
you can't
totally
have it both ways.
But why is it okay for the Catholic schools to get kids to pay money?
I don't think. I think it should. Anybody should be able to play anywhere.
Right. Don't tell me it's just this radius though that's going against another radius, and we're two traditional public schools. Don't do that because that's not what's happening. But it's fine that that's not happening.
All right, go ahead.
That's the whole point.
It's intense over here. Like
Yeah.
a couple of my buddies, Darius Quarles. You guys remember him from
Yeah.
It's my young boy.
Yeah.
I walked Darius from, he was at Life Center, and he went back to Paulsboro.
Look, Life Center was out too.
He had the scholarship to St. Joe's, and they took his whole senior year away from him.
Because that 1 year at Life Center.
Because he was transferring back from Life Center. Matt Cotton, he played at Eastern maybe 2 years ago. He's at Yale now.
Okay.
He had to miss
He's
30
smart.
days. 30 days out of his senior year. New Jersey, y'all rules are
Strict.
yeah, they but like I said before, I'm gonna keep saying it, y'all got a real beautiful setup here.
Appreciate it.
It's a good setup.
We're gonna be sky's the limit over
And it's advantageous to the athletic program. It really is.
Let's end with this, Dale. So again, because you talked about this a lot, no one is knowledgeable, and they should be. At the end of the day, it's their responsibility to be knowledgeable about what's going on. But if Mr. Delgreco Wilson is sitting in front of a kid right now that's highly recruited, his parents don't understand the landscape of things, how is Mr. Delgreco Wilson handling that situation? How's he going about giving them the information? What type of information is he giving them in order for them to make the most proper decision possible?
Well, and I say this to a lot of parents, and they sometimes get it, sometimes they don't. But you have to look at your situation as it currently stands. If you got a kid, say he's going to the 11th grade, he got 10 offers, and they're like Big Ten, ACC, all of that, then you have to say to yourself, like, you did this. All the decisions that you made up to that point have led you to this situation where you're facing all of this.
You talking to the kid, right?
To the kid and his parent.
Okay.
It's like, so you've done you made every right
to the
decision.
because they raised them.
So
and
now,
he did
all
what
of
he
a
did.
sudden,
Okay.
you're going to get, it's like in football. You drove the ball 98
And
yards.
so somebody in and run the touchdown.
You're going to sell somebody in. Why would you do that? Trust your own judgment. Gather the information from people that you could trust, people that, and the good thing about a lot of the college guys that I deal with, what I'll say to them when I tell the kid, like, we're not going to waste the time of this coach, and I'll tell the coach the same thing. Yo, if you know y'all change your mind or you take some, you call my kid, you let them know.
Mm-hmm.
When you do it that way, the parents and the college coaches establish a relationship where even if they're not still recruiting, you could bounce things off of those guys. Yep. You need people, if you're a parent in that situation that you spelled out, you need people who don't have no skin in the game with your child, who just like you, who just respect you, who will just tell you what they honestly feel. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's hard to find that in his age.